What happens when you take two guys from New York who absolutely love to talk and give them a license to rant? You get your hosts, John Peasy and Mikey Sausage.
We're here.
So he's up to spin that thing around. What's going on, my boy?
I'm good. How are you, Mike? How's it going?
Very tired. I don't know. I've been very tired for like the last month. Actually, I'm going to pick up one of them sleep study test things tonight. So they're going to connect you with all kinds of leads or whatever, and you go home and then sleep and then bring the thing back to them the next day. Because all this wonderful insurance that I have, they will not pay for you to sleep there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have to. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to sleep there and they're supposed to monitor you, aren't they?
They won't pay for it. And there's $217 difference.
Whatever. Pay the $200. Pay the $200.
No, they don't prove anything. It's crazy. Like, after the COVID, I just did my yearly COVID checkup. Like the guy wants to do like an echocardiogram. They want to do like some stuff from onset. They just deny you right away. The doctor says they spend so much time fighting them to get stuff approved. It's crazy.
What's funny is that it's like we're at the age where we're talking about our doctors.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just laughing. It's just like it's so true. I mean, I had a colonoscopy last week.
25 years ago, we were talking about our dates. Now we're talking about not sleeping in our assholes.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if I told you too. I think I did tell you. I actually swallowed a quarter or a penny or
you
told
me we had a lot of good jokes about that.
Yeah, well, I'm not writing jokes about it, but I don't know if I passed it. I don't know if I made change yet or not. But I'm not feeling.
You didn't find it?
I don't know. I wasn't going to look for it.
Why?
Because you know why. I don't want to get involved digging in that.
You should have made your wife look for it.
Yeah, that's even better. That's very sexy, by the way.
Listen, she puts up with your shit. She might as well look through it, right? Tell me about our guest today, John.
I'm going to tell you. And by the way, do I sound nasally? Because I had a 101 fever this morning.
Yeah, let's not even talk about how you sound to me right now.
And I'm all congested, and I just took like I don't know what you call that, like 2 pills. They're liquid. You drink it, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to feel better for 3 hours and take them again. But I feel terrible.
Who gave it to you?
My wife gave it to me. If I drop dead, just blame her. But if I have to tell you that I was excited. I was not going to cancel. Even at noon, I was thinking maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm not feeling well, and I thought I'm not canceling. I'm a big fan of Hans, and I've watched. I can't tell you how many of his videos, and I watched some of them several times. I mean, like the beautiful thing about this guy, and I don't know anything about him. That's why I'm looking forward to speak to him. But the beautiful thing is he explains life through illustrations, and he makes very simple illustrations, very simplistic illustrations, but he just kind of shows you how. And by the way, we think in pictures. I think we think in pictures, and I think I'm able to comprehend in pictures much more easily than somebody just sitting there droning on. So that's why this guy's got a great hook on how to, and it's not only just informational, it's information about spiritual things, life in general, life after death, life before death, lots of awesome spiritual concepts that are difficult to grasp. But once he shows you these little pictures with them, all of a sudden it's like, I get it. So I'm very impressed at his analytical way of displaying his thoughts, if you will. So anyway, Hans basically unmuddles the metaphysical through illustrations, giving you an easy to understand of how a very complex subjects work. And through the use of some humor, he applies this into a spiritual quest. And You could check him out on YouTube. It's fantastic. Let's bring him on here. I can't wait to dive into him. His name is Hans Wilhelm. Hello, Hans Wilhelm.
Hi, John. And hi, Michael. Lovely to see you. I'm delighted to be here. I'm honored that you even, with your present conditions, are making the show, and love to be here. And I have seen some of your videos as well. Fascinating guests you had, and I learned a lot there too.
Oh, I was going to say you didn't see my actual show because you probably wouldn't have come.
But isn't it pronounced Wilhelm?
It is, but whatever sounds right to you is fine. I can handle any kind of situation. Just Hans will do. Hans is pretty easy.
I was telling before the show, PZ, I said, the name fits the accent. You know what I'm saying? Like if his name was like John, it would be a problem. But Hans is perfect.
It doesn't get more German than that, though. It's right. It's very, very German. Very German.
Yeah. All he needs is worse than a beer. We'd be good. Right?
I'm ready to have sausages right now on the grill. So, and by the way, Hans, we appreciate you coming on because people see us sometimes think we're just going to make fun of people or interact with them. No, we really are interested. We may not be the smartest people in the world, but we want to understand how other people are thinking now. And I can't understand spirituality concepts very easily. And yet, like I was saying a moment earlier, you're able to somehow, through illustrations, connect the dots. And so before we even get into that, I want to go all the way back. Where is Hans from besides Germany? How did you begin your journey of being a person that's almost an educator of spiritualism through illustrations?
Well, as you can hear, I grew up in Germany, in Bremen, and I wasn't really much interested in that until I think suddenly I was around 14 or 15. I went to a movie. I forgot the type of movie, but it was happening in Italy. And in part of the movie, there was a professor. And the professor in his study had this huge blackboard. And there were all the formulas, either chemical or mathematics. I don't know, but none of that made sense to me. But in the corner on the right-hand side, there was very small formula written, 1 + 1 = 1. And when I saw this, and I was 14 or 15, it just hit me like a flash. I mean, just, wow, that's it. That's the truth. Everything is oneness and everything is unity. And all the problems we have here happens from our separation, or belief in separation. Anyway, so I wanted to find out more and more. At that time, we didn't have Google, of course. So it was very difficult to find spiritual material, except the religious stuff, which I did not believe in too much, like the church teachings. And over time, I got initially initiated with the transcendental meditation for a while. That's how I really learned to get some, self-confidence, because when I was a teenager, it was tough. I think teenage years are pretty hard. And I really had very little self-confidence at that time. But the TM helped me to get confidence. And I was 19. Then I just left home and went to Africa and lived in Africa for 12 years. Which I couldn't have done had I not done the meditation before. I wouldn't have felt secure enough to do that. And then later on, I traveled around the world for a few years and landed up there now in America, where I changed my career to become a children's book writer and illustrator, which I've been doing now for 40 years or something like that. And over 200 books published and in 30 languages. So that is my profession, so to speak, is to be an illustrator and writer for mostly children's books. I've done a few of adult books. And I never really intended to come out, so to speak, with my spiritual stuff, because I've been studying all the time for 50 years, different spiritual paths, starting first off with Edgar Cayce and then many other paths. But through an incident with my father when he was dying, we 4 children were taking turn being with him during the last few days. And my father, who was a warrior, was a soldier in the Second World War and was on the Russian front, and he has seen a lot of death. And he said he didn't believe in life after death. He was sure about that. He didn't mind dying, but he was sure that after this it was over. And when he was lying there, so I thought to him, well, just in case life is not over, let me tell you what I think might happen if life continues. When I give you a few points, what might happen. So he smiled and says, okay, that's your belief. And then he died shortly thereafter. I totally forgot that. But it was sort of 5 years later that I was at a book signing, and a medium came to me and says, who I had never met before, and says, your father just came in and he just said he wanted to thank you for the information you gave him, because everything that you said came true. It was right. And he was so grateful for it. He says, because he is now working at the receiving end for souls who have died. And he sees the utter confusion of souls who arrive there because they don't even know that they're dead, many of them. I don't know where to go and what to do. And he says, could I please write books and make this more known to more people, what I had shared with him? And I thought about it for a long time and so on. And then I realized that, and I remembered my time as a young man, as a teenager, so to say, urgently wanting some questions and didn't find answers. I said, the people I really would like to connect with are young people. And the only way to do this these days, before TikTok, there was YouTube. So I decided I make very short YouTube videos, and I use my skill as an illustrator. And I don't just do it for them, I do it mostly for myself. Because when I draw it out, when I have a clear thought, a spiritual thought, and draw it out and visually see it in front of me, it makes total more sense to me. So what I'm doing is what Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you probably haven't understood it yourself. So I keep the videos very straightforward and very simple so that I understand them, and hopefully a 6-year one as well. And because the spiritual laws are not complicated, they're actually very easy, and God is ingenious simplicity. It's not all that difficult to do that. And when you see it visually in front of you, as you have mentioned, John, it becomes very clear. And that's basically what I do as a sideline. I do not sell anything. I don't convince anybody. I leave it totally up to the person. I do not promote it. My videos are, people come to the videos whenever they are ready. And they find it helpful. And if they don't find it helpful, that's fine with me too. I have no desire to convince anybody about the information that I'm sharing. I only know for myself that these are the highest information, which I think at the moment are available for us human beings here. They come direct from the spiritual, highest spiritual world. And having tried them out myself in my life, not only from intellectually, but also using these lessons that were given to us by the spiritual world, and trying in my humble and very very student way, but I knew these things work. And I slowly got more and more confidence, and from a belief in God and in the spiritual world, slowly through the application of these various laws, it became a knowing. But this knowing is my knowing, and I cannot share this with anybody else. Everybody has to come to their own knowing. But I do share my understanding in those visual illustrations that I do in my very short videos on all different topics. That's in a nutshell, how I came to where I am right now. And I still make my book for children. I just got another one coming out now. So yes, my main job is still to give joy and fun to young children.
Okay, so when I noticed that, I didn't learn until I was almost 25, 35 years old. Somebody told me once that we think in pictures. I never thought about that before. And I think the example was, if I say the word to you, garbage pail, do you start drawing Garbhe, or do you see in your mind the plastic garbage pail or the metal garbage pail with the top? When you say the word, what do you see in your mind? You see a picture of what the actual item is that the person says. And so and I was like about 30 years old. I didn't realize until then that we think in pictures. And by thinking in pictures, you learn much more quickly, because reading a textbook over and over and over again, trying to retain information in words on a page becomes redundant. But actually speaking of thinking in pictures the way this equals that, it's very analytical on one level, but it's also left brain as well. So that's why I'm fascinated how you're able to draw these great little illustrations and put it all together. For me personally, I don't know about everyone else, but for me, I'm able to digest that very, very easily. And now I see how you came about that. The other question would be now, this meditation, you travel around, you look like the kind of guy, and I'm not being derogatory when I say, but you look like the kind of guy that meditates. I mean, there's a certain look of people I know that meditate, and they have this a better glow, a more relaxedness to them. It looks like I don't know, it's kind of like, they look healthier than I guess, a stressed, full meat-eating people. Tell us about
what can I say? Well, I don't do TM anymore. That was at the beginning, and it was helpful then. My meditation today is very different. It's a bunch more going within. It's a spiritual meditation. I do have in my videos also a meditation. One of them, which is very popular, is called The God Within, where people can follow that. It's a guided meditation. That is a meditation I'm doing today. And but even though I am mostly a vegetarian and don't eat meat and so on, I may not look like the typical vegetarian you might have in mind. But that's just what it is. And but
wait a minute, meditation. Time out. A German that's a vegetarian. I mean, this is, you live in the land of sausage. What the hell is going on over there?
Mikey, yeah, that is my choice. I'm not saying you have to follow that to anybody else for this, but it's my choice personally. No. Yeah, but so yes, my wife is also, for the most part, we are vegetarian. Once in a while, we eat a little bit of fish if we have to, and so on. But otherwise, that is our own choice because we feel better that way. Our body feels better that way, and we notice the difference from changing from a meat diet to a vegetarian diet. But that is a personal choice. I mentioned in my videos, never to do anything like that drastically or fanatically. Let it be a gradual decision if you choose to go that way.
Now,
how long have you been a vegetarian? How long have you been a vegetarian, Hans?
30 years.
So I have a lot of people trying to convince me to do this right now. And something with that, we're going to more of a whole foods, plant-based diet, along with some enzymes to follow, or with it, or whatever she was explaining to me. And basically, honestly, anybody I ever speak to always feels better. So, but I have a friend that just started to do it, and he was like not feeling so well, and they said that they had to detox him a little bit. So he wasn't really feeling so good, like changing over to this thing, but now he feels terrific. So, I mean, I guess anybody I speak to is pretty happy with it. So there's got to be something to it. So,
well, I think it's the whole trend is going there because of the Beyond Meat movement and so on. And if you go to the dairy counter at Whole Food everywhere else, a third of it is already milk, which is not coming from cows. It's a natural trend that people slowly move over. And I think in the next generation, people will probably not eat meat anymore for various reasons, also for the pollution of the planet and so on, not only for the empathy for the animals, but for various reasons. And now we have got the substitute meats like Beyond Meat burgers or what, all these different ones coming up. I think the trend will be very rapidly and very quickly. One of the best restaurants in New York have just recently changed totally to vegan. So the trend is there, and people are interested in living healthier and also doing much more service to the planet.
He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And ironically, you know that Mike makes sausage for a living.
Yeah,
yes, so I understand. I understand.
Well, I'm in a family business where we manufacture Italian sausage. I'm 4th generation, so yes. I'm very in tune to the market and what exactly is going on, and it's come leaps and bounds from where it's been as far as Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burger and all of this stuff. I mean, right now it's pretty close, except for the feel and the bite. And I think on the burgers you gotta have like a little tomato and ketchup, and but it's still palatable, much palatable than it used to be. I mean, so even John, I think John goes to Burger King once in a while and has that plant-based Whopper, right, Peasy? Oh, you have that?
I just don't admit it.
No, and it tastes not bad.
Actually, no, it's not bad. But the irony here is if you take a hamburger, if you take a bun and put lettuce and tomato and onions and ketchup and mayo, and then you put a piece of cardboard, it's still a good burger. It doesn't matter what's in there. And I don't understand the irony of why everyone that's a vegan. My daughter is a vegan. I don't understand the irony of why everyone that likes to eat vegan, generally speaking, tries to make all the vegetables look like meat. It doesn't make any sense. Like, try our chicken nuggets that are made out of vegetables. Like, just eat the chicken.
Well, that's the way you convert a meat eater. I mean, that's probably and that's the marketing behind it, because I met with those guys at the Impossible Burger maybe about 8 years ago at some conference, and they were talking about you know, the easiest way to convert a carnivore, someone who's eating meat, into in a plant-based diet is to create what they like as best as you can, and then slowly get them into other areas. So, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, so it's not.
That's how I'm going to get people to eat human flesh. That's my next thing. Slowly make little bodies, little cookies out of people.
Hans, what part of Africa? What kind of Africa were you in?
I was in South Africa.
In South Africa.
South Africa.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And then, and the medium that came to see you, did you, what you just shared with us with your father, did she know that? It was a guy. Could she have known?
No. I never met them. It's a man, a young man who had a book signing there, and I went to the book signing, and he just came up to me and told me, your father is here and wants to thank you. So no, I didn't know him, and he had never seen me.
No. Did he know the fact of what you told your father before he passed away, in a book or anything? Could have you read it?
No, I never told him. I forgot totally about it. It wasn't written anywhere down. No, I myself forgot it. And only when he mentioned it, says, "Oh my God, yes, it's true. I told my father that."
Wow.
But he could not have prepared himself for that one. No.
So now, do you believe in mediums and things like that? Do you believe in that sort of?
Most certainly, we all have the gift in one way or the other. Okay. I would be not necessarily promoting going to mediums necessarily, because I think the person or the soul on the other side who has died and whom we usually want to connect have got other work to do. They have got their own path, their only journey to continue. And we better let them go and send them our blessing and our best wishes. But of course, if somebody is in such grieving state that they need to connect, then there may be a reason for it. But generally, I think we should respect the person who has graduated from this planet and let him move on and send them our blessing. I mean, death, somebody recently said it so nicely, is nothing but a great hello to a lot of people whom we haven't seen for a long time. So on the other side, they basically are having a new life, and you keep on bringing them back and says, come back, I want to speak to you. That's pretty annoying.
Wow. You don't see it that way. Now, Mike's father just passed away recently, and you're going to a medium, right? Me and Mike are both extra larges. Just for the heck of it. But Mike's going to a medium to speak to your father, right, Mike?
Yeah. But we interviewed Mark Anthony, who's a medium.
Oh yeah, I know
psychic,
him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, yes. And basically before the show, we were talking about, my father had passed in January, and so on and so forth, and then, we got into other subjects. We didn't ask for readings, and then when we were done, he was thanking him, and he said he had a good time. And he said, by the way, I'm getting something with your father. Do you mind? And I said, no, of course not, And he said, your father said to thank you very much for taking care of the watch. Now, not one person in my family knew what I did, because I have a cousin of mine that my first cousin, my father's sister's son, would call my father once a week, twice a week, just to say hello. He's like one of my family members that really respected my father and really kept in touch with him. So my father had a watch that his mother and father had given to him, and I gave it to him in the church when we were burying my father. And I said, I wanted to give you this because it represents the time that you took out of your day to always call and contact my father and so on. Now, nobody knew I did this, and it blew me away. It was like the craziest thing in the world. And then we're going, I think May 17th, my sister, he's going to do something on Zoom or something. So we'll see how it makes out. But
that's very different. That's very different because he contacted you. And that's a very different thing. If they wish to make a connection like my father connected me, I didn't have any need or desire to contact him. But when they make the approach from their side, it's a different story altogether. But that's how I see it. But anybody goes according to what they need. And if somebody is really mourning to such a degree that it might be helpful for them to make closure, then I think that is maybe an avenue to do.
Yeah.
Now,
I wish you would give me Now we should give me the lottery numbers.
Yeah, they never do that, by the way. They never do the lottery. They never do. As a matter of fact, I was looking at some of Hans's videos, and one of the things I was thinking about, and there's a million questions here to ask, but I guess it's hard to ask you all these real quickly. But tell me your thoughts on evil, spirits, karma. Tell me, what do you think about evil, spirits, and karma? Because I watched one of your videos, and you spoke about that. I get a lot of information watching your videos. I kind of agree with most of it as well, but one of the videos that you had, you mentioned about, don't go to graveyards because you could get a spirit picking up on you and utilizing your energy. Now I understand, and Mike, I don't know if you believe this too, but there's these spirits that are out in the world. They can attach to human beings and utilize your human body for their drinking, eating, or whatever their problems were in life. So I understand that. But I was also told a long time ago that a graveyard is the last place in the world you're going to find one of those spirits. They're always where people congregate the most, at a hospital, at a bar, at a concert, at a place where they seem to be a lot. And I remember watching a video where you said that don't go to the graveyards because that's where you could get that picked up. And I go, well, that's the opposite of what I was thinking. And I was wondering if you could explain that, and also what you think about evil and karma. That's a lot.
You're right. You're right. The greater danger is in bars and in places like this, which of low vibration. But I mainly make this point on my video for young children of not trying to bring young children to the graveyards because they are most vulnerable to these influences. And there are spirits with their graves, and they still don't know whether they have died. And they can easily feel wanting to join us in one way or the other, and they can possess us as well and can attach themselves to us. And I just only say think about it, and to just leave the dead to the dead, and just sort of, maybe if you want to connect with them in your thoughts, do it at home in a prayer. That's much more intense and much better than necessarily going there, because if they are so-called good advanced spirits, they won't be there anyway. And if they are not advanced spirits, then why are they still hanging around the graveyard? And they could actually one day decide, I just leave this place and go with the next person who can help me further. So that is something, this is a revelation which was given from the spiritual world. It says, just be careful for that. So I made this. And evil is basically what you said. These evil are souls like you and I who have fallen a lot deeper than we have fallen from the divine absolute reality. They're fallen to a point that they no longer have any energy left. And they try to steal this energy from us, the louche energy, I call it. They can do it either through spirit possession. They can also influence us through their thought pattern. They can make us do crazy stuff. They can also give us, like in the Faustian bargain, give us the world. They can give us fame, money, power. But in return, they need our soul, and also for us to serve them in the afterlife or in this life. So that is the evil, the negative entity, which is always destructive, which is always for pain and suffering, because the energy they're living off is mostly destructive energy. These are the war energies. These are where people are fighting, where people are depressed, where people are sad, angry, etc. All these kind of negative energies are louche energies, which is energy for these earthbound souls or astral souls. They use as food. That is their last energy. That's why they drain us from our energy. And the energy is for them to survive. That's why they can live on and on and on, because they're stealing the energy from us. And that's why we feel exhausted. And after this, because somebody a prana sucker has sort of sucked the energy from us. But these evil entities, we call them demons or whatever, devils or whatever it is, are nothing else than brothers and sisters like anybody else is in the spiritual world, who just have fallen much, much deeper and have gone much further than we have gone on. We are already on a pretty low level.
I agree with that.
Did you get that thing I sent you today, PZ, about quantum physics? Did you read that?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I was basically just...
It's basically saying that they're using quantum physics, and they're saying that when you die, it's just like an illusion. It's just like there's so many universes going on at one time, and they're saying that you're basically energy. And they say, even though you physically die, your energy doesn't die. It just go someplace. So it's
That's
a
been
really
crafted.
it's a real interesting article if you read it. We've had so many different people on here so far in a short season that have talked about life after death. What is death? What happens after death? We had the soul phone people. We had a couple of, and we have so many, different ideas. But there's always like the one basic. But I guess the difference in what he said was about the evil, and I think Mark Anthony said that the evil went away, and this person was a killed children or was abused children, or he was a sick man when he was on Earth, and he said he actually was trying to contact the kid for the parents, and the person that killed the kid came in and told him that what his affliction was on Earth that made him do these things he did not have in this afterlife. So it's like I don't know, does it happen to everybody? I mean,
He's been spiritually cleansed.
I don't know. I'm not like a cemetery guy anyway, thank God. So I just believe in treating people good when they're here. To me, I don't need to go to the cemetery. Some people like it. It's cathartic, but I don't like going to the cemetery because, it doesn't really mean much to me. And stuff like that. The only thing that's going to attaches to me now is carbohydrates. And probably that's the only bad thing.
Well, what about that, Hans? I mean, energy can't be created or destroyed. It's always the same, apparently. So if that is the case, I think that's what Mike's really saying there. If that's the case, what do you think? Do you think that we live in parallel universes, or do you actually think that we live in a 3D simulation like some people believe? What are your thoughts on that?
Whether parallel universes or 3D simulation, it may be, it may not be. I'm not really interested in that myself. In the meantime, I have to deal with right here what I can actually do in my life right now. So yes, everything Mikey is right. It is all energy. We are energy, and even our physical body is nothing than energy. And of course, when our physical body dies, that energy, which we call our soul, moves on into another vibration, which is like the same vibration. Like attracts like. So we will be encountering souls of similar vibration, who behave very similar. So that is, I think, the important thing to remember, that we are eternal energy, which we will always live and be always ourselves. And yes, parallel universes may be there, a big, maybe a whole simulation as well. But even if it's so, that is very little consequence in how I deal with my day-to-day life. I can sit here and say, oh, it's all universe, it's all parallel universe. Tomorrow I jump in another one. But I still have to deal with my issues, with my thoughts, with my whatever I have to face. I have to pay the rent. I have to do this. I have to go to work. I have to take care of the children. I have to take my vaccination, whatever it is. I have to live in this life. And for me, that is the important thing. How do I live in this life in the most highest vibration, which means in the most loving and most caring way? And John said, treat everybody lovingly and kindly. I think that is very true. That is live by the golden rule, practically. If we only live all by the golden rule, I think our world would be a paradise. And it doesn't matter how many parallel universes are there or not. I can only deal with the universe I'm in right now, which is I'm sitting here at the desk and speaking with you. That is a no. I'm trying to live in the here and now. And now is another word for God. So if I'm in the here and now, then I am closest to divinity.
I definitely agree with that, and I don't know if you're a religious guy, you're a spiritual guy. I don't know what you were. Basically, I was raised Catholic. I'm not a very religious person. I'm not a churchgoer. I'm not all this stuff. And I tell people, they say, well, you should do that, get closer to God. I said, listen, I do one thing every day of my life, and I try my best to do it. I'm not always successful. I just try to treat everybody like how I want to be treated, and I feel that I'm good.
Good. Yeah, that's it. If everybody would do that, we would have a different planet.
That's very true. Hey, Hans, what do you think about, because I can just ask you questions all day. The first one is, what do you think about these people that believe in Illuminati or galactic federations or our deep state. There's an evil deep state. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe in the hierarchy of the demonic hierarchy I mentioned in my evil thing. So they do exist. So these are all, as I mentioned, the astral beings who are fallen deeper, and they do have their own kind of destructive motivations, largely to milk us for our energy. They do exist. I do not go with all the conspiracy stuff which is on the YouTube. That is a lot of stuff by people who want to show their egos and like to get a lot of likes on their videos, and they come up and they promote ideas which they haven't really thought through. That's my view, and so I don't go by that. But I do definitely believe there is a negative force here, and we have to watch out for it, and we have to take care of it, because we can easily be influenced through our vanity, mostly, or through other kind of weaknesses which we have. But we can all fall for that very easily, very quickly. And so we have to be on guard on that one. But if we try to do our best in every way, then that should be fine. Then we should be safe. So I'm not paying too much attention to this. And about the galactic kind of entities and so on, my new video is actually on aliens. That's why I was interested to watch also your interviews on people who are the experts of aliens. And yes, there are aliens, and the one I speak about are actually our space brothers and sisters, but these are of very high vibration. And in these high vibrations, which means on very high frequency in the higher spheres, they are knowing about the abundance of life and not the scarcity like you and I here on Earth believe in, because it's also a more dimensional society. And in that vibration, they can create spaceships and space gliders, etc., of technology which we cannot even believe and think of. And these are, of course, very different entities, and they are also there to help the societies on lower fallen spheres, including the Earth. So there are a lot of aliens from the very highest realms who actually try also to help us here on Earth, because they see what a kind of dreadful dilemma we are here on Earth with our imminent climate collapse, with the pollution, with the wars, etc. going on. We do need desperate help. The problem is that if they come too close to us, they can contaminate themselves. But some of them have incarnated anyway here and help us. So I do not spend much on the negative entities, aliens, because that is a small section, and they are also of lowest frequency. They do not have the space gliders and so on like the high vibrational beings have. And the real problems are not the people of outer space. The real entities we should be concerned about are the astral beings who are here right on Earth and who can influence us and manipulate us at any given time through negativity. They are the real danger we should look out for, not the ones in a space. That's what's basically, in short, my video is about. Does it make sense to you after you have interviewed so many experts on this field?
It does to me. About you, Mike?
Yeah, no, that's, Elena Dannon, who we just had on, who actually, I don't know if you saw that interview. She says there's good and bad, benevolent and malevolent, like bad aliens and good aliens. And there's some sort of order where, you can't come to Earth and mess with the Earthlings, or else you got a big problem. So, I mean, we spoke to so many people, and it's always eerily similar. So It's either everybody's just copying everybody, or there's something going on here. You know what I mean? So we're very open-minded. So we listen to everybody, and I kind of like feel people out. See, like with you, like I have such a super good vibe from you, like you're a really good energy to me. He's
still not going to eat your sausage, man.
No, just he's not in front of me. And he's not, but Hans makes me feel good. I don't know what it is. So that's a good way.
I see it too. He has a really good vibe about him, and I think
his aura is like insane to me. Like I just feel happy. I want to go do something good for somebody. That's how it makes me feel.
He's got a good vibe.
Yes.
And by the way, that leads us to the next area. How do you derive your information to put on these videos? Is this coming to you through meditation? Is it coming through life experience, through researching of books? Where are you where's the funnel coming into your brain to produce the content?
Well, as I said, I've been studying this for more than 50 years, a different path. And the last 30 years, very much one type of path, which comes not from me, but from the books which I'm using and which I also often mention at the end of my videos. They are spiritually, they're channeled material from the highest level of the absolute reality. And I have read them and studied them for so many years, and I've tried them out. This is where my test is, my personal test is, that I've tried them out and they seem to be working on in my own life. And that's why I share those, because I also found out that these are the most easiest to understand. And I realize now how that God does not hide himself from us, but he wants us to come back to this higher level. And by doing so, he speaks in a very clear language. That's what Jesus did as well. He spoke in pictures and in stories, which were very easy to understand. He was speaking about a 7-dimensional reality, but he was giving us stories which were easy for us to understand, because with our 3-dimensional reality, we can hardly grasp anything above that. So for the spiritual world to tone this information down to a level that I, as a simple person, can understand it, is very helpful. I've read other passages. Edgar Casey's material is of very high vibration as well. But unfortunately, Edgar Casey speaks a very, very difficult English. And after you've read the sentence 3 times before you fully understand what he means. So I'm very happy to have the sources now from all these books, which are very easy to understand, clear and non-contradicting. And that's why I have my information from this source, which I sense now transform into the visual way for make it understandable to others.
Fascinating. Hey, you said on one of your videos that I watched that, and it's this one point sticks in my head a lot, and this is exactly what Mike was saying a moment ago, but just the flip side of it, really. You mentioned that you understand that you believe that negative spirits can see your aura, and Mike was just saying that you have a beautiful aura, like, you know, Mike's in love with you right now. That's what I'm saying. So, no, actually, you said that they believe that negative spirits can see our auras and they can utilize this by taking your power. I saw this on one of your interviews, and I started thinking about that a lot. It stuck in my head a lot. So, in other words, we're floating around the planet doing whatever we're doing as human beings, and a negative spirit will suddenly see and grasp onto our negativity at that moment to attach, or attached, maybe if we're too positive, they would just avoid us. So you're saying that we're giving out in a beacon sense to this netherworld.
Well, we have our aura. Yeah, right. We have an aura, and many people can see the aura. I can't, but the aura is very visible for spiritual beings very clearly. So if you are a heavy drinker and alcoholism is part of your life, that is very clearly seen in the aura. And if you find a spirit who is also wants to relive the joy of drinking, then he says, oh, this is the perfect guy. Let's cling onto him, go onto his back and so on, suck his energy when he drinks so I can enjoy the drink as well. So we are very clearly, we are easy to read from the spiritual angle of all our weaknesses, and whether it is sex or whether it is anything else. If that becomes a dominant factor in our life, that is very clearly visible in our aura. And any negative spirit who likes to enjoy the same vice, so to speak, can easily cling to us and says, hey, this is the guy through whom I can continue living that vice and get that energy.
See, but you know, PZ, when Mark Anthony was on, I already admitted this already, so I might as well, because I said I felt weird for a long time, even to say it. Like, I see people, and I see colors, like when I speak to people mostly. So, like, that's why I say about you, I can go by my past experiences. I only learned to compare the colors to the person when I got to know them. So people I know intimately, and they have a certain color. So you're very blue and violet and pinkish, which usually means loyal and good-hearted person, someone with a good sense of humor, open-minded is usually more violet purple. And then I see a lot of rainbow with you, and the rainbow usually generates for me is you're very accepting of people, no matter what they think or believe or anything like that. and some yellow, which is a very dominant in the rainbow to me, meaning that you're more of a docile type of man, more of a man that a lover, not a fighter. So I don't know if that's correct, but that's how I interpret what I see.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't really given it so much thought, but yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, you see, who would have guessed that somebody who produces sausages can read auras? I mean, that's great.
It happened since I'm a very young guy, and I knew once I saw some guy, and it was darkness and black, and I was like really just bad, like grayish, gooey, like mud almost, like. And this guy turned out to be a murderer that I actually knew, and then other people I meet, and then I have a good friend of mine that was speaking to some type of artist that draws auras. So and they don't see you, okay, and what they do is they take a picture without seeing you and draw a picture of you in these colors, and then they describe, and pretty much they were on point. So like. I always thought it was like strange, so I never really talked about it. But you see a lot of different colors, and like the only way like I said, to learn how to interpret was to actually get to know that person really well. Because if you don't know them, how do you interpret what they're giving off? But now that like I know John has a lot of the same colors you do. So, and I know John a long time, and I know what kind of person he is. So if I can compare his colors to you, you're in good company.
That's very nice. We've both been complimented by the Sausage Man. See that? We're good. We're good. I have to tell you, though, I've been deceived by other people. Matter of fact, speaking of which, just back it up a second, I have an entertainment company. In the entertainment company, we used to have a woman that was a psychic from Connecticut that used to go out and have the Aura 2000 machine. She had a machine, and I don't know, it was out of California, but it's a machine where people come over to a booth, you take their picture, and it shows you the colors of their aura above their head that's emanating out of their body, and then there's a chart to show you where they stand within the auras. It was like the Aura 2000 machine or something like that. And she was very popular at parties before she moved away to wherever she moved to. And I was actually thinking of buying one of these machines, but it's also like one of these things where people think like, oh, come on, it's just, it's a party item that is as opposed to reality based. But when it comes to this aura stuff, I don't see auras, but I have been deceived by people's behavior. I used to think I was a very good judge of people. You could look at a person and you could kind of feel invisibly their goodness or badness or whatever. Generally speaking, I think you can. I really think you can. Not just based on looks, because looks is not everything. Because there are people that can look like Brad Pitt and they could be a killer. It doesn't really matter. But there is something that people do give off, and you can inertly feel it, kind of. Whether you're physically in front of them or not, you could just kind of know a person's. But there's times that I've been fooled where I had a guy many years ago. I won't even go into the story, but he tricked me into believing that he was a good person. I fell for it, kind of. He was a good psychopathic behavioral understand. Anyway, this show is not about us. It's about Hans. So, but Hans, considering everything that you just said, I'm surprised to hear about the alien stuff, that your belief on that. I was wondering about, I'm surprised to hear that you went that direction. Considering all of that, you have to understand, though, that the universe has to have good and bad. Of course, you want to focus on what's positive, which is important to focus on, because why would you want to focus? We don't want to purposely run ourselves through the mud. What's the point? It's pointless to get all dirty. You may as well, focus on what's right. But considering that, whether there's aliens that are above, that are good or bad, that there is something in this universe that's good and evil. It's clear. It's clear. It's in behavior of people. It's in the animal kingdom. It's in thinking. We've all had thoughts that were wrong. We live in a world of duality, and this duality is always based on black and white, good and evil, front and back, the duality of life. How do you think, I guess my question would be is, yes, you could focus on all you want, what's positive, but this other side exists and it's around us consistently. And I don't know how to avoid it by just putting your attention on the light. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's surrounding you. It's like being in the water of an ocean and saying, I just want to focus on the air above. You're just in it constantly. I know that's not a question; it's a statement. But yeah,
well, first of all, I agree with you that we do live in the temporary relative reality, which is a space and time, as well as good and evil, and cause and effect. So this is a temporary reality, which is not the absolute reality from where you and I and everybody else originally comes from. We have fallen, so to speak, out of the paradise. Again, this old simple story given to us to understand the 7-dimensionality falling down to the 3rd dimension, which are here. So in this reality, you're absolutely right. There are negative entities, destructive entities. It was created through self-will, through the ego. And we do have them. And of course, we should know about danger. That is right. But our focus decides also what kind of a vibration we are sending out. If I constantly live in fear, taking an extreme of all the negative entities who could get me or what me and all the different dangers and what could happen to me on illnesses, etc., I'm sending out all these energies. And then, of course, in the law of like and attracts like, I attract these things to me. But if I try to stay as much as possible positive, it doesn't mean to be in la-la land, but just positive and keep to really focus on the here and now. This is where the key is. Not on worrying and anticipating or fearing something about the future, but in the here and now. Then I am having a form of armor, so a form of protection, because my vibration is on a very different level, and it does not attract the negativity because my mind is not set on negativity. Therefore, I find it very important to keep everything as much as possible in a positive frame of mind. That does not mean I ignore the existence of the negativity and also the danger of the negativity. But I can do my share by keeping my vibration as high as possible, by focusing on the positive. Because even in the negative, and the worst, and the devil himself is the positive. It can't be otherwise. The positive, losing here half my ear. And the positive is divinity, is God. And God is in everything. So God is also in the devil. So if we are really focused, if we take the most horrendous situation in our life, we can always find the positive. In the most horrific kind of, you can add up a lot of positive things with the COVID influenza right now, which mostly everybody says it's the worst thing ever happened to us. But out of this, a lot of positive has come as well. So when we focus on the positive in every situation, we immediately change our vibration. And by changing our vibration, we are also making ourselves more immune to be influenced by the negativity. Does it answer your question?
Absolutely. Not only does it answer my question, I think the whole point of this interview that makes the whole interview better. That was that very clear. Yeah. And by the way, you weren't drawing while you were speaking.
No, I wasn't.
John, I know a fair amount of pretty successful, content, happy people, and that what he just said seems to be like another common denominator is what they put out into the atmosphere is what they attract back, and a lot of them live like that. So again, there's something to that. I mean, I mean, like they say, you are what you eat. I guess you are what you attract. I mean, so if you're positive and upbeat and even try to take positivity out of negative, to make lemonade out of lemons, all this other stuff, which my grandmother and grandfather always taught me about. Life is just not going to be rosy. There's going to be good and bad and, stuff like that. It's just, if you concentrate on the positive, I mean, so you said you get fooled a lot, PZ, by people. That's because you're a kind of, well, you have been fooled. That's because your personality, I think, is benefit of the doubt personality. I think that's the kind of guy you are. So, it's going to happen, but, I'm a little different. I'm kind of like, I got you in a little suspect box until I feel like I can let you in fully. I kind of keep you, and then until I know the truth, because there are good con men in this world and con women, and people that will slide their way into life that aren't good. But I guess that's part of karma too, right, Hans? What you put out, if you put good karma into the world, you get good karma back.
You got to watch this video
true.
on karma. It's really good.
Everything comes back to us. Yes, it's true. But I think the reason why we sometimes are fooled by people is because we want something from them. And we want something very desperately, and they're promising it to us. And it's our desire, our wish of wanting for them to fulfill our desire fools us, and it sort of blinds our view. So if there's a person who in some way wants to give us something which we think we want to or need to, that person has an easy way to really mislead us, because we are absorbed by our desire, by wanting something.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Hans, I love the way Hans expresses what he thinks. You're very clear about what you say, and very concise and easy to digest. I really appreciate your take on things. I really do. Really sincerely, I really do. I feel like it's just a pleasure to sit here and talk to you about these things. It's just like you want to pick this guy's brain for hours. He's almost like, you know what you remind me of a little bit? I read a great book called The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran, which is one of my favorite books. Isn't it? One of my favorite books. But you almost like that kind of a guy. You're like the prophet, because you're able to unmuddle what's really difficult to conceive and create and come up with a conclusion, and yet you're able to easily transfuse through it. And I appreciate that more than you know. I really do.
John, it's not me.
Yes?
But it's not me. It's a material that I'm sharing, which is very clearly to understand. Religion and a lot of spiritual paths make things very complicated to get our ego involved. But the real information, the spiritual information, is very simple, very straightforward. And that's why it communicates on my drawings and in my videos. It's not me. It's a material which from God comes in that very clear way to understand.
That's what inspiration is, isn't it? Because it's inspired. It comes from outside into the brain, through the body, and back out. In spirit, basically. That's the way I love words, and that's a word that I really love, inspiration. We don't think about how it breaks down into our life. But if you had a magic wand to change the world that we live in now, what would you do?
The magic wand is just to make people realize that the only thing we have to learn is to love. I mean, it sounds very crazy, but to love the unconditional, to love everything unconditionally, unlimited, and all-inclusively. I have made a video which calls Love It All, and I think that would be the best answer. The moment we can really get ourselves to that point, that would be helpful. Or as I said at the beginning, it says to see everything as one. We are all one unity. We are not separate from God and not separate from each other. And if we really understand that our brother and sister are the ones which we are part of, and if they are suffering, we are suffering, everything will sort of be maybe easier for us to live together in more harmony and in more peace.
Beautifully said. And you can't get better than that. And listen, would you come back one day with that dry erase board and do a concept for us that you haven't done maybe one day? I would love to do that in the future.
I would love to. Let me know, and we'll set it up.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd love to have you come back on one day and just show us one of those concepts, so people, first of all, we have to encourage people. I know you're not selling anything, which is the other irony in Hans. He's not selling anything. All he does is give away, which is, he's like a tree. He gives away oxygen to people and doesn't say, you get it, you don't. He just gives it away, in which another higher level of thinking that I haven't gotten to. That, I wanted to talk to you about comedy, but we don't have time. So tell me this, Hans, how do we get in touch with you?
Well, lifeexplained.com is my website, which I think you have shown here as well. Or just go to YouTube and punch in my name, and then my channel comes up, and then you just look at the videos and pick the one which pleases to you, and the video will guide you then either to a book or to anything else further to do. As I said, I don't ask for donations either. There are no advertisements on my videos. It is totally free, and it's all up to everybody else to decide whatever they want to know with this information. When the time is right, the right person will see it.
He believes in the universe. I appreciate it so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Hans. Mike,
thank you, Mike. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mike. It was a great pleasure.
It's been so much fun. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Mike, that was great. I definitely would love to have him come back again in the future. You guys, great.
Yeah, Hans is awesome. I want him to adopt me. But then I can't eat steak.
We're hugging Hans. This guy's great. I mean, to me, he's on point. I love that guy. And I'd love to have him come back in the future. Maybe we could do something specific on one topic that he would like to really like draw in. It would be awesome.
I do
In the
agree.
meantime, don't eat any sausage. And we'll see you the next time on our next show. And if you want to, hey, by the way, you guys like the YouTube channel, what do? Hit that, subscribe, and also hit the like button. We really appreciate that. And Booker of Talent is right there. John Galasso, who has a wonderful book out from justlaugh.org called A Smile, a Grin, a Laugh, That's Life. John Galasso is the guy who books our show, and he also a big fan of humor as well.
So unlike Hans, Galasso is selling shit.
Yeah, apparently John is not as spiritually advanced as Mr. Hans. Yeah. We'll see you next week, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Yeah.